Texans are AFC South champs. Why is this different than the AFC South championships of the past? Plus, what's the best case scenario? What are the best things to happen to the Texans during the bye? And they're also favored against the Kansas City Chiefs. Let's go inside the locker room.
Yeah.
Do it live.
Yeah. It's the locker room on YouTube. You know what it is. Let's get it. Ayy. Locker room. Yeah, we in the locker room. Texas talk. Yeah, you know what we about to do. Localized. Every angle's what we really do. We the source. We the pulse of the city too.
It is the locker room, number one source for Texans digital content. This video is brought to you by BetUS. Texans, speaking of BetUS, favored against the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm assuming that means they believe Patrick Mahomes is going to be out, but the Texans, last I checked, were a 2-point favorite. Who knows how that changes? We'll get into that a little bit later on. After the conclusion of Monday Night Football, and we had two games today, there is a week wrap up that we do here. And right now, the reality of the situation is the Texans, they're in a very favorable spot right now because they can kind of lay out their strategy. Now, I anticipate they're going to treat Saturday like a normal game, and they're going to go all out, and they're going to try to go to Kansas City and win. But after that, they can take a step back. The picture will be much clearer, and they got to figure out, all right, if so-and-so's banged up, do we really want to play him on Wednesday? Is the 3 seed really, is chasing the 3 seed really worth pushing guys to the limit? And that's a decision that they're going to have to make, and that's an opportunity that they have and a luxury they have to be able to look at that and assess the risk reward of making such decisions based on what they've done and the situation that they put themselves in. The line that DeMeco always likes to use is, we've earned where we're at right now. And that's absolutely where they are. We'll get into that in a second, but I kind of want to get into what AFC South division titles mean now. Compared to what they once were. Because they were, once upon a time, not too long ago, they were kind of frowned upon. Because you had Bill O'Brien, who hung his entire hat on division titles. I mean, that was the whole thing that Bill O'Brien hung his hat on, was division titles. That was all that he cared about, was winning the AFC South. And more times than not, whenever the team got in the playoffs, not only did they lose, but they would put together some of the worst efforts that we've seen. They would get completely blanked. He would wet his pants against the Kansas City Chiefs. And people kind of rolled their eyes at that because it was just one of those things where it got a little bit old and the act kind of wore thin. Fast forward to now, and it seems like division titles are being a little bit more embraced. And some people have asked, and I think it's a fair question to ask, but some people have asked, okay, why is it that when O'Brien was here, division titles were kind of frowned upon and, borderline mocked, and there was always the doesn't matter thing. And there was always a vibe. And my thing is very simple. I think that right now we're early in the DeMeco Ryans era. And I think initially with Bill O'Brien, you were excited. I think DeMeco Ryans, what he was sold as, you've kind of seen. They already have an elite defense, and you already see that impact. And with Bill O'Brien, he was supposed to be some quarterback guru, and that never really played out. Also think this team on any given Sunday, outside of maybe Watson's squad in 2019, they have a higher upside on any given Sunday, and the future appears to be a little bit brighter. But do I think if the Texans wet the bed, and let's say in the first round they get knocked off, that people are still going to be glorifying AFC South titles, or there's going to be pride in winning the AFC South? I would say no. Because much like Bill O'Brien, this is a dog-butted division. Now, it was a lot worse with O'Brien than it is right now, and it's bad right now. But with O'Brien, you had Andrew Luck on the decline, in and out of the lineup. You had terrible quarterback play. I mean, we can go back and look at the quarterbacks that Jacksonville had. That was the Blake Bortles era, among others. You had the Mike Mularkey era in Tennessee. It was a bad division, and it's still a bad division, but there's a little bit more upside. A lot of uncertainty. I think Shane Steichen's a good coach. Other two coaches, one's going to get fired. The other one we don't know a damn thing about. The quarterback play is still pretty bad. But the upside of this squad is interesting. And right now, the Texans have a hell of an opportunity that we'll address in a second. But first, let's hear from old DeMeco Ryans. Let's hear what old DeMeco has to say about this. I was there today as well. DeMeco Ryans, I asked him about the strengths of this team. That'll be a little bit later on. But he talked about winning the AFC South, among other things. It is the locker room. This stream brought to you by BetUS. Promo code YouTube150. If you want to get in the game, I'm gonna bet probably at least $500 while we're here. I didn't really bet much last week. I think I got a couple I had two $100 bets earlier today. We're on top. We're way on top. So it's time to get aggressive. Final stretch of football season. I don't like to really bet on baseball, and I minimize the basketball betting. So we're gonna make some big bets. In a sec. We'll take a look at the Texans line. Might have to wait for that, but this is a big college football weekend as well, and the Texans are right in the middle. I mean, you're going to have SMU playing Penn State. Texans are going to kick off an hour later, and then right after that, you're going to have Texas versus Clemson, and then your nightcap's going to be Tennessee at Ohio State. What a Saturday that is. My God, what a Saturday. That's one of the best Saturdays that you can ask for. And then you get to kick back and relax and watch NFL Sunday. Let's hear from DeMeco, though, here live in the locker room.
After y'all clinched the AFC South yesterday, so what does it mean to you to do that for the second straight year?
Yeah, clinching the AFC South is huge for us. Great accomplishment by all of our guys. It's always our goal, right? You want to make it in the postseason. You have to win your division. It starts there. And so we're just thankful for everyone who played a part in us, reaching the first step of our goal, and that's getting in. Credit to all of our guys and the work that they put in, the way they played. And yesterday it was just outstanding to see them play that way, play complementary football and find a way to win games. And so very proud of our guys and proud to win the AFC South.
Having clinched, how do you approach the remainder of the regular season in terms of trying to improve so you hit the playoffs in stride, and also there's some potential for seeding improvement?
Yeah, for us, we still take it 1 week at a time. Even though we've clinched the AFC South, it still doesn't change our approach. When we line up and play, we're still trying to improve as a football team in all areas and try to play our best ball, when playoffs time hit. So we're trying to still improve, still do our best.
When you look at the film from yesterday, what did you see with the offense, the changes you guys made up front? How do you think, after looking at it, how do you think that worked?
Yeah, really pleased with the.
It was all right. To quote Bill, it was okay. I mean, it wasn't great. The offensive line isn't going to be great. I'm intrigued by it, but it wasn't great. But we know DeMeco, when it comes to the offensive line, is going to be very protective. Let's hear what old DeMeco had to say.
Offensive line and what they did yesterday, really like the lineup that we had. First I'd like to thank Titus. He should get some love for being unselfishly moving over inside to the left guard position.
What was his choice? Like, what would Titus Howard have done? Refuse to play guard? I need to give him love. Get over to guard, man. You're one of the highest paid tackles in the league, and you're not even close to that. Get over to guard.
And Blake coming in playing the most snaps that he's played. I think, he had a good start there, and he still has room to grow and improve. But I think for his first outing there, I think he did a really good job, and just collectively the group held up pretty well in protection. Always things to clean up, but I was pleased with the O-line play, and we'll see where we can grow from there.
DeMeco, how do you think the bye week, when you look back, the bye week helped CJ bounce back? You needed rest his position. It seemed like he had extra zip on the balls yesterday.
Yeah, the bye week definitely helped. Not only CJ, helped everyone. I think just the just being refreshed, energized. I think the energy was really good yesterday from our entire team. I think that's where the bye week helped us. We were still rolling there in the fourth quarter. Felt like we had the mental and physical stamina to finish the game the right way. So I think it helped everyone.
Joe Mixon suffered a little bit of ankle injury in the first half. How did he come out? And do you have any concern with him about Saturday?
Yeah, Joe came out fine. He missed some time there, but he'll be fine.
We've talked a lot about Stingley and Kalen yesterday. How pleased have you been with, you talked about Titus stepping up, Jimmy stepping up, and
Mike's not picking up this question. This is me.
Yeah, Jimmy, he hasn't blinked. Jimmy's been
Talking about Jimmy Ward and
playmaker
Nickel.
for us, and he's stepped in wherever we needed him to play, move him around a lot. He's thrived in whatever role we've given him. The thing about Jimmy is that he loves to play football. And you watch the tape, you watch him play, like he's all over the field, flying around, because he just loves to play football. Wherever he lines up, it really doesn't matter to him. Like, he just wants to be out there and do anything he can to help the team win.
Coach, from the outside looking in, what did you see that made you so impressed by Tim Settle Jr. and bringing him in, knowing that he would fit into your defensive scheme?
Yeah, what I saw from Tim, first off, Tim's a young player. Even though he's been in the league for a while, he's still a young player who's ascending. I saw a bigger defensive lineman who had some explosive traits that I really liked on film, and just felt like getting him in our scheme would accentuate those traits even more. We would allow him to play an attack style of defense more, and thought he would be really good at it. And Tim he's taken it, he's ran with it. He's been a really great addition to our defense. Great player to have. There's great energy. He keeps it light on the team, and you need that. Tim knows how to have a good time, and he puts a smile on everyone. That's how everyone here is smiling, so I guess you guys know as well. But just love the energy that he brings to our entire team.
I know Stingley has been good for you guys for a long time, but just how impressive was what he did there in that fourth quarter for you yesterday, getting 2 interceptions to just kind of seal the game?
Yeah, it's very impressive. Like I said, it's a play it's very rare you see a player make a play that way to end the game. Like that's all pro type plays. Like that's what it looks like, when you're one of the top guys of your position in the league, going up, matching it up against, one of the best wideouts in the league as well, and to make the plays that he made, can't say enough about how impactful Stingley has been, throughout not only those plays on yesterday, but Stingley has been impactful throughout the entire year. I think for the past 3 wins, he's been our defensive player of the game. So when he's making impact plays, it's putting us in position to win football games.
In the division, you and CJ are the first coach and quarterback duo to win the division in their first 2 years together. So how have you reflected on that, what you've been able to accomplish in such a short time, and also what you're still trying to accomplish?
Yeah, as we reflect on winning the division and back to back, it's we're grateful, we're thankful, to be in a position we are. I'm thankful to work with the guys I get to work with on a day-to-day basis. That's what makes it special, the people that I work with, and the way the guys show up every day to work with the right mindset, the right attitude. It makes it fun, right, to work with these guys. And also, we're always trying.
We'll get back to DeMeco in a sec. First, let's swarm the super chat.
Swarm.
Yes, sir. We got Kingdom Bear with the pesos, baby. The pesos. Shout out to all my peso carriers out there. Shout out to the pesos, the euros, any type of currency. He asks, what can the Texans do against Pittsburgh or Baltimore? And then against Buffalo, it's very difficult to get through with this offense. Saludos. You're talking like in a matchup, I'm assuming, like how do they match up with each of those teams? With Pittsburgh, if they don't have a fully healthy TJ Watt, then that might be a wrap. Their offense is not going to beat you. I think the Texans defense, when it comes to what a quarterback does, so when it comes to like what Mahomes does on a weekly basis, what Allen does on a weekly basis, when full strength, not their earlier season matchup, what Russell Wilson does, what Lamar Jackson does. I'm confident that this defense can make them a worse version of themselves. This defense and this coaching staff can make any of these guys a worse version of themselves. Now, can they get in a shootout with Buffalo? No. Could they get in a shootout with Baltimore? No. I don't think Kansas City's a shootout type of team anymore. I don't think Pittsburgh is either. I don't think the Chargers are, and I don't think the Broncos are. Those could just be kind of street fights. So against Pittsburgh, I think they'd match up pretty well. DeMeco has a long history with Russell Wilson. And I think they would be able to figure some stuff out. And if they don't have TJ Watt, no chance. Baltimore would be interesting. I mean, he would have already seen Lamar Jackson 3 times. Now, we don't know how many guys are going to play in the third matchup on Christmas. If it's here, I think that's ideal. But against Baltimore, I think this team can stack up decently. I don't think you fear them as much as you did last year. I don't think last year really matters because the Texans are a much better defense. Now, they're a worse offense, but they're a much better defense. Not only are they a better defense, they're a damn near elite defense. So I think you're good there. And you saw Stingley following around Tyreek Hill after Jalen Waddle left the field. And by the way, props to DeMeco Ryans for that coaching adjustment. I thought that was elite. Buffalo, I have no confidence against Buffalo. And there's a number of reasons. First of all, I think when the Texans beat them, they weren't at full strength, they being Buffalo. And second of all, it would be in Buffalo, which is tough. I mean, that would be one of those signature type wins. But when talking about like the ultimate reason for optimism with the Texans, I look at it this way. Is this defense capable of playing really, really good when it matters most? The answer to that question would be yes. So what teams where defense was a significant strength have we seen make runs in the playoffs? We've seen it a couple of times. We saw the Jags in 2017 with Blake Bortles. CJ Stroud's better than Blake Bortles. We saw the Jets go twice with Mark Sanchez. CJ Stroud's better than Mark Sanchez. And then we've seen the Ravens. We've seen the Bucks. But we've seen teams with really, really good defenses get the job done. So I think the best thing, and I'll start the countdown of the 3 best things that I think that happened during the bye week with number 1. I think this team found an identity. I think this team is now going to lean on their defense. Now, does that mean that you're going to need the offense to have some sort of pulse more times than not? The answer to that would be yes. But I think they realize what their strengths are, and I think they're going to start leaning on it, for better or worse. And they're going to be able to get healthy on offense and have their ballers ready to go. And on defense, it's only going to get better because you're going to get Azeez back. You're going to have Christian Harris, hopefully in the groove. Jimmy Ward playing elite at nickel. That's why I asked about him. I don't think he's getting enough credit. So to answer your question, I think they match up against those teams. I think they match up good against any of them. I just don't see them. I don't see them making Josh Allen look like that again. And the playing in Buffalo in the snow, and God knows what the weather will look like, and they're used to it. That's a little bit scary. Here's more from DeMeco Ryans. But number one thing, the Texans, I think they found an identity. Here's some more from DeMeco live in the locker room, post Week 15 edition.
Trying to do our best, trying to compete, win games, but you can do it with good people. That's when it means more.
They didn't have a flag on the hip drop tackle. What did you see? Is that something you would submit on the tackle on Joe Mixon?
At the play with Joe on the sideline, we see that as a hip drop tackle. It didn't get flagged there, but see it as a hip drop tackle. Unfortunately, again, it's something we're trying to clean up and get out of the game from a defensive perspective. Guys just have to do a better job of getting their bodies in front and wrapping up and running your feet.
You've touched on the connection between CJ and Nico in the past. I think you called it outstanding yesterday. Just how big is it for you to have a quarterback and a receiver that are on the same page in the red zone and able to make plays off schedule like that?
And the red zone is where we need to improve offensively, and when you see things happen, plays broke down yesterday in the red zone, but seeing the off schedule where CJ and Nico truly find that connection, whether it's in the back of the end zone or Nico, making a move to come towards the front pylon, and CJ just keeping his eyes downfield and finding Nico. And those are the type of plays you have to make sometimes in the red zone, because once you hit your back foot, the coverage, no matter what coverage it is, probably guys are in windows, right? And it's not there as soon as you hit your back foot. So you have to be able to move around and make plays like that. And CJ and Nico are doing an outstanding job of that, and I'd like to see even more.
DeMeco, oftentimes, sorry, my fault. DeMeco, oftentimes the quarterback is usually one of the more outspoken and quieter personalities on the team. But even going back to yesterday, talking to Sting afterwards, after he had 2 interceptions, he's like, "Yeah, it's cool." Just being around the league for a long time, how unique is that, especially when it comes to like that position, and also just getting a chance to get to know him over these past couple of years? What have you gotten a chance to learn about who Derek Stingley is, specifically as a person?
And Stingley is very quiet. It doesn't change no matter how many plays he makes, right? Impactful plays, game-changing plays. It's one thing about Sting, he's always the same. So he's not gonna give you much. But one thing, for everyone to know, Sting, he cares a lot, right? It means a lot to him to not only it means a lot to him to play well, right? He's confident. He wants to be in those tough matchups, but he cares a lot about playing well. He cares a lot about helping the team win. So that's Stingley, right? He has a big heart, and it shows. He doesn't always say it, but you could tell, for me, I could tell by his actions that he truly cares a lot for his teammates.
You guys didn't take Henry. Christian Harris yesterday. What did you see from him in his first game back?
Christian was flying around. He's playing fast. He was sideline to sideline, makes some nice tackles. Like he hadn't missed a beat. He'll have a few things to continue to clean up, but I was impressed with the amount of snaps he was able to play and the plays he was able to make with him coming back, after being away for such a long time. So I'm really, really, really impressed with just his outing on yesterday. It was cool to see. He's missed a lot of time, worked hard to get back. And he did not want to come off the field. Even when I tried to get him off the field, he did not want to come off the field.
Henry played all the defensive snaps for you. It looked like he had the communication with you as well. What did you make of his performance yesterday, filling that role that I think Aziz typically has?
Yeah, I was pleased with Henry. I think one thing, having the communication, when guys get that, sometimes it throws you off of your game, right? Because you're having to do a little bit more when it comes to getting everyone else to call, getting everyone else lined up. But I thought Henry was very calm in the moment.
Had a good-ass game.
He handled himself really well. He played well, a ton of tackles, flying around, forced a fumble. But overall, he led the unit in a very, very nice manner, productive outing by him. And just the communication piece was off the charts. Right? We had a lot going on with what Miami's offense presents to us, and Henry was steady throughout the entire game.
What would you say are the strengths? You talked about leaning on strengths. Would you say that yesterday y'all did that, and what would you say are the strengths of this team?
He's not going to answer this, but hey, gotta ask.
At this moment of the season, strengths, weaknesses, every week. It may be the offense needing to pick the defense up, or defense need to pick the offense up, special teams needing to make an impact play. At this point in the season, for me, it's about finding a way to win games. Like in playing, I mentioned it yesterday, is playing complementary football. Each side isn't always going to be on. Each side isn't always going to have it all together, but it's about picking each other up. It's about team football at this moment, and that just speaks to the team that we're playing this week, Kansas City. No matter what position they find themselves in games, they find a way to win. Whether it's offense, defense, special, they find a way to win games, and that's what good teams do, right? You can't, even though you want it to be one strength here or there, it doesn't matter. How do you win games? And that's all we're concerned about right now.
Caleb Bullock's had a lot of success this year. What's impressed you the most since the day you guys got him to now, the way he's produced for you guys?
Yeah, proud of Kalen, and I always talked about him taking the football away, but I'm proud of him yesterday for just his angles to the football, his effort, and his tackling. I thought he improved. He took a step there in tackling, and so he's a young player who's continued to ascend for us, and he's making a ton of ton of plays for us.
Playing his
Back
ass
there
off,
patrolling
honestly.
the middle of the field. Like, teams keep trying him, and he keeps going up and getting the football. So have a young player who is confident as he is, plays with great instincts, great hands, great eyes. He's making a ton of plays for us.
How did you come away viewing how the offense played as a whole?
Yeah, as a whole, I think our offense, we did some good things. We got points. We put the ball in the end zone. We got points. Moved the ball downfield. Put ourselves up to kick field goals. And we want to definitely overall. There are always things to improve upon, right? Eliminating the negative plays. Don't like to see the negative plays there for us where we're going backwards. Like just want to see more positive plays, gaining positive yardage. But get the ball in the end zone, play complementary football. It was enough for us to win.
With Patrick Mahomes dealing with that ankle injury, do you expect him to play, and does what he's dealing with change y'all's preparation in any way?
Yeah, I have no idea on if he's playing or not, so I really can't focus on it or be concerned about it. We're preparing for the Chiefs, and a lot of the light shines on Patrick a lot, but if you watch the Chiefs play, their defense is an outstanding unit. They do a really good job defensively. Coach Spagnola's done a great job. Coach Reed. In the offense, they're going to find a way no matter who's there. They find a way to move the football, right? And so we just have to be on it in all areas of the game, whether Patrick is there or not.
Coach, being able to slow down that Miami Dolphins offense who has so many explosive weapons, being able to win like that, being able to grind out that type of win, is that what you mean by when you talk about December football?
That's it. That's what it looks like right there. I mean, it's not always pretty. It's never going to be perfect, but you have to grind, and you have to grind to the end of the game, right? When the clock says 0-0, it doesn't matter how pretty or ugly it looks. Like you walk away with the W. That's the only thing that matters at this point in the season, right? And that's all our focus will be. That's what we did versus a really good Dolphins team. We grinded it out. We found a way to win. Special teams. I can't say enough about our special teams unit. I mean, everybody talks about the fate and the execution of it, which was outstanding.
Beautiful.
But
Beautiful.
for me, the way our guys covered on the punt team, our kickoff team, the way they covered, the way they flew around and swarmed the ball carrier, I couldn't be more proud of our unit and them taking our game plan, taking it and executing it, right? I mean, I want to show those guys a lot of love. They did a really great job. Emi, great job of knocking down the field goals as well.
Yep.
My next question, going back to that fake punt, oftentimes, teams might work on that throughout the year, waiting for the right opportunity. How nice was it to dial it up and have it work in your favor, and how important do you think that was to ultimately helping you guys get the win yesterday?
Yeah, it was huge, a huge momentum shift for us, and one we needed at the time. I felt like it was the right moment for us to call it and make it happen, but credit to our guys for executing it. It's one thing to call it, but you got to have the people who execute the right way. So Dylan Horton, Jake Hansen, Jeff Okuda, of course, MJ handling the football, getting it to. It's a lot of things that have to go right by a lot of different people on that play, and it was well executed. All right, thank you guys.
All right, there you go. It's DeMeco Ryans, live. This segment brought to you by BetUS. So he's not going to say what the strengths are. We know what the strengths are. We'll see what happens with Kansas City. Right now, let's just pull up the BetUS and just see if they even have the lineup. I'm going to make some bets here. Already have 100. I have 200 in action right now. You can see the accounts up to 3,059. Started out at 2,000, and we also have 400 in prop bets. The Hunter Diggs is not going to hit because he got hurt. And CJ could go down to the wire, although that might not hit either. But we're about 1,500, 1,600, 1,700 above what we deposited. And I took advantage of the YouTube 150 promo code. YouTube 150 promo code. You get 150% bonus up to $2,000 if you want to get in. Let's see what let's see if the line is up for this for the Texans versus the Chiefs. And let's just pull that up here. See if we got it. Some have it up, some don't. They do not. So they've taken it down for the minute. I've seen for a while. I've seen it too. They'll wait for the official Mahomes word. They do have Steelers is a +6. So what we'll do is we'll go to Prop Builder, and we're going to bet on college football while the Texans are playing. So you're going to be looking at that other screen. Here's how we're going to start this off with the Prop Builder. And this is why I like the Prop Builder, because you can pick multiple games. We're going to pick SMU at Penn State. We are going to take over 21.5 points for SMU. We're going to take my man Jennings. We're going to take over 1.5 passing touchdowns, which is +125. I'm not a big Penn State guy. With Clemson, Texas, I don't know why this is. I actually have a $100 bet individually on this. I actually max betted this on here. We're going to go to receiving yards. Again, this is something to jump on. For some reason, they have Jaden Blue as 9.5 yards, and I have 100 on that. So we're going to put Jaden Blue over 9.5. That's one catch for him. He is a very, very, very good receiver. The rushing yards for him are actually low too. They're at 28.5, which we won't do that. Although I would not be mad at you if you put his 28.5. I don't know if they just don't think Jaden Blue is going to play, but I think Jaden Blue is going to be a part of the game plan. You know what? Let's put the 28.5. Don't threaten me with a good time. We'll get the odds up there. We are then going to go down to Tennessee, Ohio State, and we are going to take Tennessee over 18.5 points. I think Tennessee can go into the horseshoe, and I think Tennessee can win, or not necessarily win, but I think they can score 18.5 points. I don't think Ohio State has played too many offenses like that. In the Indiana-Notre Dame game, not the biggest fan of this. I really just don't want to touch that. So we're going to leave this at an 18-1, and I'm sure they're going to limit me because they don't want me to break the bank too much. The limit there is $5.55, which you can do. You win $105 with that 5-legger. You just need Blue, Tennessee, SMU points over, and Jennings. Place $5 to win 105. Boom, boom. Hell of a parlay. Big fan of that one. And this is the other parlay that I really love. And this one's interesting. I don't know what they're going to limit me. I've kind of been gassing this one up. So we're going to clear all. We're going to go to, I think we're just going to go to straight college football. Let's see if we can do this here. We're going to go to straight college football. We're going to select all. We're going to go back to the Friday game. Notre Dame and Indiana. There's the 17th, 18, 19. All right, Friday the 20th. Where the hell is it? Where are we at on the playoff? Or they put it down at the bottom? Probably they put the playoff at the bottom. Let's see. I don't know where they're putting the playoff. They have it on the prop builder, but they don't have it here. Maybe it was in a separate thing on the football. Let's see. College football. All right. FBS playoffs. There we go. So we'll select this. We're going to take Notre Dame straight up. They're a heavy favorite. So we're going to take Notre Dame straight up. We're going to hit, where is the team total for SMU? We'll just go back to the prop builder. What the hell they're doing here. We'll go to prop builder, NCAA football. Yes, I am.
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
All right, so we'll go back down to SMU Penn State. We'll take the SMU points. We like the SMU points from the previous. We're doubling up, but you know what? YOLO. We're going to take Notre Dame to win. Then we're going to go to Texas versus Clemson. We're going to take Texas to win. I'm not confident in this team, but I think they can win. We're going to take Texas to win. So we have Texas and Notre Dame to win, two heavy favorites. And we're going right back to that Tennessee point total. And we're going 475. And we'll see what they limit me at on this. What is the limit here? What are we doing here? We going 10? They might just be limiting me. But that's the parlay that I like. We'll get this in throughout the week. That's sponsored by BetUS. So go ahead and get in your money. I don't think it's donating. I think it's a good parlay. I'm a big fan of that. Jennings and the SMU over there, no donation. But we'll see what it looks like and how it goes. Number 2 thing that the Texans benefited from outside of establishing an identity is number 2, the teams above you gain major question marks. I think the Super Bowl, I think the AFC, I think we can all agree that it was going through Buffalo no matter what happened. But now we're in a position where the Kansas City Chiefs franchise player in the face of the NFL has a high ankle sprain. You don't cheer for injuries, but sometimes you benefit from them. That's the best way I can say it. And right now, there's the Chiefs right now, if you look at the actual situation, the layout of the 1 versus 2 seed, Buffalo has the Patriots twice, and they have the Jets. That's their 3 remaining games. The Kansas City Chiefs, with Mahomes out, they have the Texans. Then they have the Steelers. And then they have the Broncos. And Patrick Mahomes on that high ankle sprain, there's going to be a game on the 21st. There's going to be a game on the 25th. They're doing the exact same stretch the Texans are. And then they'll be in Denver to face the Broncos. And if the Chiefs lose 2 games and Buffalo wins out, then Kansas City falls to the 2 seed. So the teams ahead of you, and you also factor in that TJ Watt got hurt, they added major question marks while you were establishing an identity. And then the third one, I've been kind of hammering this home, you gained a chance at conservative rest. If Joe Mixon and Jimmy Ward are banged up, you don't have to play them against Baltimore because you're going to be in the playoffs. And there's a lot of stuff going on above you. So you earned that opportunity. Whether or not you decide to do it, that's up to you. But you earned that opportunity. And Buffalo, Kansas City, they're going to be scratching and clawing while you might be able to ice up for the playoffs. Kansas City needs the bye now with Mahomes' ankle. They need it. And imagine if he goes out there and he's compromised and they end up losing. That's a double whammy. We've seen the Chiefs find ways to win. We've seen them gut a lot of stuff out. They're in a weird spot right now. And that's good news for the Texans. When the back-to-back champs are in that type of situation, that's good news for the Texans. 100%. Good news for the Texans. Bet of the week, though, Jaden Blue over receiving yards, 9.5. That's crazy to me. If I lose, I lose. Lose with me. BetUS, promo code YouTube 150. But the Texans have earned a massive opportunity when it comes to the layout of what's going on with the whole team. Chiefs are very lucky. They've been a lucky team. They might just make teams kind of freak out. We saw Bill O'Brien do it in 2019, last playoff game he ever coached in. But for whatever reason, I mean, they are able to freak some people out, and teams just kind of lose their way whenever they face the Chiefs. It's frustrating. It's frustrating for a lot of people because a lot of people just watch the Chiefs just rooting against them. I don't blame you. But they definitely freak some people out. There's no doubt about that. Titans will be interesting if it's going to be rest or not. I mean, you're going to have a clear picture of the 3 seed. And the luxury the Texans have is they're going to have a real nice grasp after this week. After this week, this picture is going to be extremely clear. Extremely clear. So that's when you really get a grasp of it. Right now, we don't know. we have a decent idea, but we don't know. Texans, business as usual right now. After that, that's when you start looking at the rest. Business as usual right now. Now, when it comes to Joe Mixon, ice up. I saw him walk in after the game in the locker room, ice up. We saw him get hurt, another hip drop tackle. Don't risk it. Now, it's unfortunate. It'd be nice to have Cam Akers, who scored a touchdown today. They decided they were going to give him away for nothing. Don't trust Dameon Pierce. You don't really trust Dare Gumbawale outside of special teams. And you don't want him toting the rock. But I would still be conservative on that. Dion says we should try to win every game. The Ravens still have a chance to push for the 3 seed just like us. I'm not saying don't try to win. I'm not sitting there saying like forfeit. I'm just saying it. I'm not gonna push Joe Mixon to the limit. I mean, if Joe Mixon is if Joe Mixon's 80%, I'm not putting him on the field because I need him 100 once the playoffs come around. Especially on this team, they're very dependent. They got 2 dogs when it comes to skill position guys, and then outside of that, it's an absolute disaster. So I mean, you don't try not to win. I mean, when Nico Collins set out against the Lions and they kind of erred on the side of caution, it was the same conversation. You got to play to win. They played to win. I mean, they pissed the game away, but they played to win. No one's saying you got to forfeit. But this time of the year, with how important Mixon is, and given the fact that I don't think like there's a huge difference between the 3 seed and the 4 seed, not yet. We don't know. Like right now, if you're begging for the 3 seed, if stuff holds up right now, like let's pretend that stuff holds up. Let's pretend that somehow Kansas City is able to hold off Buffalo, which is a big if. Easier said than done without Patrick Mahomes, although they find ways to win. But let's just pretend that let's pretend that the Texans do what they're doing and Kansas City ends up being still the 1 seed. If you're saying that you want the 3 seed, you're basically saying that you would rather play the Bills than the Chiefs. Think about that. Now, in the big picture, though, you're going to have to go to Buffalo, like we expect. Like we expect that most likely you're going to have to go to Buffalo. Now, some will say, well, if Buffalo gets upset in the second round, you host the AFC Championship game. That's true. Are you betting on that? Are you betting on anyone going to Buffalo and winning in the second round? So you're going to have to do it eventually. If that's the mindset, I get that. And I think that's fine. And I also think that's another reason to rest up, because if you look at it that way, you're going to have to go to Buffalo anyways. Why not do it in the divisional round instead of the AFC Championship game? Now, you would like to get to the AFC Championship game because then you can say, yeah, we got further than we ever have, which would be true, and it would mark success of a season. But if the Texans lose to the Bills in the second round, instead of the conference championship, like it's still kind of the same thing. I mean, obviously it's 1 round quicker, but it's not going to make me just sit here and say, well, because they didn't lose to Buffalo in the AFC Championship and instead they lost in the divisional round, damn, I think less of this team or I think more of this team. I'm not going to think that. They're eventually going to have to do it. But if you're saying that you want the 3 seed, maybe what I just said can be the backup, but I don't think you push for that. Like, regardless of where you sit on this, I don't think you push Joe Mixon out there at 75% to do that, given the fact that you're going to play them anyways. Would you rather play Kansas City in the second round? Probably. But in the big picture, it doesn't matter, which is why you don't want to push it. The most valuable thing that the Texans can get at this point is health. The difference between the 3 seed and the 4 seed is not as valuable as the health of Joe Mixon. I don't know that this team can win a playoff game without Joe Mixon. I don't know if they can win a playoff game with him. It's going to rest on the defense and it's going to rest on the offense taking advantage of things. I feel optimistic about this defense. The offense leaves a lot to be desired. But if you don't have a healthy Joe Mixon, and you don't have a healthy Nico Collins, and you don't have Jimmy Ward in that nickel, 3 guys that you got to look out for when it comes to rest, it doesn't matter if you're the 3 seed or the 4 seed. It doesn't matter. There's a reason that Buffalo and Kansas City are fighting for 2 things. They're fighting for home field advantage, and they're fighting for rest. They want that rest. And if you're one of the only teams, because you look at the other teams, Baltimore is trying to win the division. So they're going to be going all out the final stretch of the season. And this has nothing to do with the Kansas City game. The Bills and Chiefs, they're going all out for the remainder of the season. Same with the Steelers. Broncos in pretty good shape. They've held off the Colts. Same with the Chargers. They're not going to fall back. So if you're able to be the one team that gets that rest, and you're also a team that is more dependent on your top end skill position guys than anyone, then man, that's a tough spot to be in. If you're the Texans and you're telling me that you want to go all out for the 3 seed. That's tough. That's really, really, really tough. So I can understand both sides. My question would just be, what's more valuable? Because you see 3 instead of 4, and you automatically think, well, this is awesome. You're hosting a playoff game no matter what in the first round. Second round, you're either going to Buffalo or you're going to Kansas City. And if you're able to beat Kansas City in the second, you're going to play Buffalo later on. If you don't, you're going to have to play Buffalo early. You're going to have to do it. So we'll see how that whole thing goes. It's interesting. I'll say this. It's very fortunate that the Texans are in this position. And as DeMeco Ryans has always said, they earn the right to be in this position. It's a good position to be in. AFC South champs. I mean, the big accomplishment, it's more than a cap. It's more than a shirt. It's about hosting a playoff game. Getting hot at the right time. And this defense can do it. This defense can do it. The offense is going to have to take advantage of their opportunities. This defense can do it. This defense with how they're playing, with how they're doing things, they can make a run. It's going to be on the offense. Yesterday, they were able to take advantage of opportunities that they got. Slim pickings. Wasn't pretty. Didn't look great. Was quite frankly a pretty damn tough watch a lot of the times. But they can do it. They can definitely do it. And we'll see exactly what it looks like after this week. That's when we get a clearer picture. Post-game show right after the Chiefs. SNL, we'll do a little something for you as well. Shout out to everyone that joined the special live edition. Be sure to subscribe to SNL if you haven't already. It's going to be interesting. I can't go up there. Like, please bring this up next press conference. I mean, the strategy question was asked to DeMeco Ryans, but I'm not going to lay out like the whole damn strategy to him. How annoying would that be for him? He knows. I mean, they have to know. They see Joe Mixon. They know how important Joe Mixon is. But I mean, I can't go up there and go through playoff scenarios with DeMeco. Although he said they'll figure out what their strategy is going to be. Is or isn't going to be. We'll just keep a close eye on it. I'm looking forward to it. It's going to be a fun time. Fun time to cover the squad. Fun time to speak to you people. And I do mean you people. Every night at 10:30 and every morning at 9 a.m. Rick says he wants CJ back into the gunslinger like last year. I don't think that's the recipe for success. I mean, who are you gunslinging to? Tank Dell yesterday had 26 yards, and that was his 4th least productive game of the season. Robert Woods had 2 catches for like 16. That was only his 5th worst. That was like his 5th worst game of the year. They don't have any. I mean, you can't gunsling to nobody. I mean, Brett Favre was throwing to Antonio Freeman. He was throwing to Andre Rison. He was throwing to Sterling Sharp. He was throwing to Mark Chmura. He was handing the ball to Dorsey Levens. He was handing the ball to Edgar Bennett. I mean, Matthew Stafford was slinging it to Calvin Johnson. He's gunslinging it to Cooper Kupp. You can't gunsling when you have one receiver, a bad offensive line, and a bunch of meh receivers. This is just the layout of where the Texans are and what they got. So, yeah, I would love to see the offense light stuff up. I would love to see the offense be able to get the job done. I would love to see the offense be able to do their thing. They're not gunslinging. This is not a gunslinging offense. So you're not going to see that, CJ. I'm on team get Odell. I've made it clear. I think Odell Beckham Jr. is better than he's not better than Tank Dell. Nobody's going to take Tank Dell's spot, although Tank Dell should be punt returning. But I think he's better than John Mechie. I think he's better than Xavier Hutchinson, and I think he's better than Robert Woods. And quite frankly, an insurance policy for Robert Woods whenever he gets banged up wouldn't be the worst thing in the world. Is Odell Beckham Jr. what he once was? No, which means he's also not a distraction. I kind of think Odell Beckham Jr. still gets talked about like you're bringing in someone crazy into your locker room. I don't think that's the case right now with OBJ. But yeah, I'm pro Odell Beckham Jr. Big time. I've made that very clear. And it's not going to cost you a lot of money. It's not going to disrupt your locker room. Hell, some of these guys might look up to him, like Tank Dell, and then might look up to, they looked up to Odell. They were in their front yard, like catching one-handed passes, looking up to Odell. Maybe they stepped their game up. He's battle tested. He's been there. When you're talking like third and 9, you bring Odell Beckham Jr. in the slot. If he's open, you hit him. The other thing is they don't even have a tight end threat. I'm good with him. I'm good with Odell. I know a lot of people aren't. Polarizing guy. Odell Beckham Jr. It's a polarizing player, and it's a team that you don't want to break apart. But if you're still in love with these receivers after Nico Collins, I don't know what to tell you. It's blind love. Like it's Whitney Houston, Bobby Brown love. They don't get the job done. I'm not saying it's all their fault, but let's just be serious. Why did the Texans trade for Stephon Diggs? They had this receiving core and Noah Brown. Why did they trade for Stephon Diggs? Because they needed another receiver. He's gone. They need another receiver. Could Odell Beckham Jr. suck? Yeah, but it's not going to cost you anything. He's not going to cost you anything. The Dolphins brought him in. So explain this to me. And I know they ended up punting on him, but by a lot of accounts, that had as much to do with the fact that he wanted to get another opportunity. He being Odell Beckham Jr. So if the Miami Dolphins, who seem to find skill position guys out of nowhere, by the way, I mean, they're 3 deep at running back. At wide receiver, this Washington guy's out there doing his thing. I would love to have him on the Texans. I mean, Jonnu Smith looks like one of the best tight ends in the league when they bring him in. They have argued one of the best wide receiver duos in the league, although Tua's just kind of broken and he doesn't know what he's doing. Why would they be willing to bring in Odell Beckham Jr.? And part of the reason that they don't that they moved on is A, they're out of it. B, they got other young players that they want to take a look at. They seem to know what the hell they're doing when it comes to that type of thing. So when the Dolphins had Tyreek Hill and they had Jalen Waddle, why were they willing to do it? Who do you trust when it comes to skill positions? He wants to be on a contender. A lot of these contenders don't need Odell Beckham Jr. The Chiefs just got Hollywood Brown back. I say back, he never really played. But they just got Hollywood. We'll see what that looks like. Ravens got some young receivers that they like. They already had Odell. I'm not opposed to it. Jonnu Smith, it was crazy. So I was talking about this yesterday, and I was actually talking about it on the stream. The Jonnu Smith contract. Let me pull this up in my group chat because someone sent me the numbers. It's kind of a sensitive topic for Stutes. So Jonnu Smith signed a 2-year, $8 million deal in the offseason with the Miami Dolphins. The Texans signed Dalton Schultz to a 3-year, $36 million deal, which is basically a 2-year deal. They gave him the extra year to avoid the franchise tag. So they're paying Dalton Schultz $12 million a year, and the Dolphins are paying Jonnu Smith. They're paying Jonnu Smith $4 freaking million a year. Let's look at like Jonnu. I know it's a different offense, blah, 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 blah. I get it. It's a different situation. But right now, Jonnu Smith is 14th in the NFL in receptions with 70. He's 32nd in the entire NFL with yards, 740. And he's tied for 16th with 6 touchdowns. He's averaging 10.6 yards per catch. Now let's look at Dalton Schultz. Dalton Schultz right now is 10.2 yards per catch. So he's right there with Jonnu. Jonnu's getting the short ones. There we go. He has 1 touchdown. He has 437 yards and he has 43 catches. Now, I brought this up, and the reason I'm bringing this up, I don't sit here and act like Jonnu Smith would be setting the world on fire with the Texans. I'm not that dumb. But when you pay a tight end in a moderate tight end market, when you pay a tight end $12 million a year, he damn sure better be better than he was last year, or at least something close to it, right? I mean, this goes back to evaluation. And I think there's a chance Dalton makes some big plays down the stretch and all gets forgiven. Maybe. But when you do that, and you look at the other stuff the Texans have done on the offensive side of the rock, the evaluation of the offensive line, running it back with Dameon Pierce, giving away Cam Akers for nothing, and now he's doing his thing on a contending team, deciding to run it back with this group of wide receivers outside of Diggs and them not producing. That's just bad evaluation of offensive skill position guys. And they don't do that on defense. Like, this is not an incompetent staff. They don't do that on defense. They don't do that. They find Tim Settle for 2 years, $6 million. I keep hearing people say, give Tim Settle extension. They got him on a 2-year, $6 million deal. That's one of the best interior edge rushers, interior rushers in the league this year. Interior D lineman. They got him for 2 years, $6 million. They say bye-bye Blake Cashman, and they bring in Azeez Al-Shire. They don't do that on defense. But on offense, they say, oh, Dameon Pierce, you were unplayable last year, but you know what? We're going to run it back with you as the backup and make you a play away from actually being on the field. That's crazy. Is that not crazy to y'all? Kind of crazy to me. I mean, what are we doing there? That doesn't seem to make a lot of sense. So that's the point. And Stutes today was like, well, nobody really wanted Jonnu Smith instead of Dalton Schultz. Okay. You're the king of like, they could have had this guy, that guy. He's elite at it. It's one of my best friends. It's a great skill. He can go back to the draft and say, man, they could have had this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And it's like, damn, that's a hell of a list. I'll sit there and say, oh, you know, nobody really wanted that guy. The point is, you're paying 3 times as much. You're getting bad production, and the Dolphins were in that same market. They took a guy that was really looked at as a disappointment. I remember when Jonnu had the long touchdown against the Texans. I think it was in. Let me use my photographic memory here. Was he 17 or 18? Yeah, that long ass touchdown against the Texans. They've revived him, and the Texans do that on defense. If they could do that on offense and they can figure that out, then you know we're sitting here talking about the 1 seed, the 2 seed. That's the difference. Good thing is you have a really, really good defense, and that defense can take you home. So that's the whole point. I didn't mean to make this like a Jonnu Smith thing. I just saw someone in the chat. Shout out to all the people in the chat. Be sure to subscribe to SNL. I very much appreciate y'all for riding along with me the last 3 years since we've been getting this digital thing popping. And SNL is blowing up. Get on that channel, subscribe to that channel. It's blowing up. I'm very pleased with that. Cody Stutes, I just busted him in the balls. I wouldn't want to work with anyone else. I don't think anyone covers the team better than Cody, including myself. I think as far as overall just football information, stats, all that, I think Cody's the best in the game. As far as like broadcasting and radio, top rated radio show and all this, and balancing journalism with the goofy shit that I do, I don't think anyone's better than me. And the digital and radio ratings kind of back that up. Toot my own horn. What the hell was that about?
High-grade marijuana called Kush on the streets.
But I say all that to say they've got to get, and I still think they can flip the switch. I'm not dismissing the possibility of this team. I do think we got to at least be aware. We got to at least be aware that this offense might break our hearts. We got to at least be aware that this offense can break our hearts, right? And we also got to be aware that the defense is going to set you free. The defense is going to take you home. The defense is going to create opportunities. The defense is going to do that. And in the playoffs, they used to say defense wins championships. I don't know if that's the case anymore, but I think you have a quarterback who does not have elite surroundings, but he has intangibles and he has the ability to flip the switch. You've seen much worse quarterbacks with these types of surroundings and the limitations do their thing. You have Joe Mixon, who's battle tested. You have Nico Collins, who's a straight up dog. That's where the list ends. I'm sorry. That's where the list ends. But that might be enough, especially if your defense is going to do their effing thing. So that's the beauty of this whole thing. Is you have an elite defense. You have one of the things you need. I would put this defense up against any other effing defense in the AFC. Any of them. Nobody has the combination of the edge guys, the corner, the playmaking ability, the coach on the defensive side of the rock. But there's been 2 lines that I remember over the course of my football life. One is defense wins championships. I don't know if that's true anymore. People in Houston probably hope it is. That's one. The other one, and this was when I first started my radio career. Radio Hall of Famer, one of the best columnists of all time, crazy SOB. This dude used to like just suck on cigars. We would go to the bar. We'd drink like 15 Miller Lite pints each. He was like pushing 70. He retired at like 70. He would drink 12 pints with 12, 15 pints, just downing them. And he'd order a damn ice cream sundae. Crazy son of a bitch, Randy Galloway. Shout out to him. But he told me, and he always said, it's all about the quarterback. It's all about the quarterback. And does that mean 300 yards, 3 touchdowns? No, not really. It can. It's nice. I think maybe if they're able to do on the to the offense what they do on the defense, if they're able to handle that, then maybe it gets to that. It's about making those situational plays. The Mark Sanchez, CJ Stroud, and Mark Sanchez can't hold CJ Stroud's jock. Trent Dilfer, Brad Johnson, Blake Bortles. Defense will set you free. It can take you home. We'll see how it goes. It's going to be fun to see how it plays out. It's going to become more clear after this. So we'll see what's up. I don't even know what my hand motion was. Who the hell knows? Let's get the hell out of here. Let's get ready for tomorrow. Let's effing feast. This is good, man. Like this, it's like you don't have to sit here and entertain the division. You don't have to worry about the lightweight. You don't have to sit there and say, well, if Shane Steichen can get the most out of LaFar Jackson, aka Anthony Richardson, you're done with that. The lightweight's gone. Like the AFC South, they're not even on like we don't even need to break down the state of this division. It's nothing right now. Like move that to the side. They're not on the radar. Keep your eyes on your own paper this Saturday against the Chiefs. Right now, you're favored. Scoreboard watch after that. And we'll have a real clear picture this time next week. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Be sure to subscribe. Be sure to like. Be sure to ride along. Be sure to please subscribe to SNL. God, that's been a fun ride. And always remember, when it comes to this Texan stuff, we're all in it together. Shout out to BetUS. Promo code YouTube150. YouTube150 to get 150% bonus up to $2,000. I'm going with the Jaden Blue over 9.5 receiving yards. That feels like stealing. $100 max bet. Jaden Blue, Texas Longhorns, 9.5 receiving yards seems really low. I don't know what's going on with that, but we'll see. Appreciate y'all for coming through. Let's feast. Let's eat. What a time to be alive. What a weekend ahead of us, and what a fun time. And we get to kick this mofo off 12 o'clock Saturday football, and it's the pro version. Let's see.
Landlocked, got the game in the headlock. Localized every time, can't stop, won't stop. Yeah, we top 2 and we not 2. Plugged in daily digital on YouTube. We got